Hi, everyone. This is Ryan from rockthedivine.com. Thank you so much for tuning in to my latest video. I want to thank everyone that has sent in questions, that has either asked through YouTube or you have emailed me. I really appreciate you participating, and I'm happy to get to as many questions as I can. I try to answer the questions that I feel would benefit the masses, and I also try to answer questions. Well, I answer questions that I don't have to look into psychically. That is something I only do for, sorry, I saw something go by. That is only something I do for students and clients. If I have to tune in to your energy, if I have to psychically look at what's going on to give you an answer, I can't do that on YouTube. Well, I don't do that on YouTube, but I'm happy to answer general questions that I feel can help everyone. Okay. All right, so the first question. Someone asked, how do you tell the difference between spirit guides and angels? So there's this is what I'm going to explain. This is personally for me. This isn't going to be for everyone, but really all my answers are, from me, from my point of view, in my opinion, or what I've had happen to me. So how do I tell the difference between spirit guides and angels? A lot of times I can't tell the difference unless I ask who it is. So for spirit guides and angels, to me, they feel the same. So I a lot of times get sort of a light feeling. I start to feel my vibration raise, which just feels like, if you're happy and excited and sort of this alive feeling. I can also feel them as tingling or buzzing on my temple, my crown, around my shoulders, even up my back sometimes. But spirit guides and angels do feel the same way. When I look at them, a lot of times if I'm seeing them with my eyes, like my actual eyesight, they look like sparkles, columns of light, columns of flashing light, columns of colored light. There's like a million ways they come across. A lot of times if they're a sparkle, I know for sure that that's an angel, but I've also had angels stand in front of me and be one big column of light, which is also how a spirit guide looks. So it can be a little confusing in the sense that they do seem very similar when you're sensing them and looking at them with your actual eyes. Now, when I tune in with my third eye, a lot of times then I see what they actually look like. Now, angels do not show me wings because I know they don't have wings, so they don't feel the need to show them. Angels are happy to show you wings if they feel that's something that you will resonate with or recognize them by. Okay, but technically angels don't have wings. But if you see them like that, like I said, that's totally cool. So what happens a lot of times is when I'm seeing what looks like a figure or a person in my third eye, I just ask them. I use my other abilities and I'll say, who is this? And they'll say their name and they'll say if they're an angel or a spirit guide. So that's how I recognize them. But I don't physically feel anything different. They just feel like light, this light feeling, and like love and comfort and an excitement feeling. They really feel and look the same to me until I start really investigating. So this person also asked, are angels more loving than guides? No. The divine are all loving, equally so. They're really one and the same. They come from the same source, so they are all very loving. They also asked, are guides pushier? Some guides are pushier, but some angels are pushier. So what I would say is that angels and guides, just like people, have a lot of different personalities. Some are very funny and lighthearted, and others are much more stern and strict. And, sometimes you need a stern or strict angel, and other times you need a very lighthearted guide. So it just depends on what they are helping you with, but their personality is very extreme. But they love you. They're really all on the same team. So you're not going to sense more love or from one or the other. They all love you, and that's why they're helping you. Okay, this person worded this perfectly. So I'm just going to read his email because I knew exactly what he was talking about, but I don't think I could have explained it as good as he did. So I'm going to read the email and then I'll tell you what I think it is. So this person said is that when they're outside or in the sunlight, they see what looks like little white light gnats. So they're not gnats, but they're like lights, white lights that are acting like gnats, if that makes sense. They're about 3 feet out from my face, but I can't touch them. They're very small, like a pinhead size or smaller. They fly around like a swarm of gnats. They seem to be made of light. They light up and extinguish as they fly around. Any thoughts on this? So I do know what he's talking about. When I walk outside, it's on a sunny day. And when I walk outside, a lot of times in front of me, I see what looks like lots and lots of teeny, teeny, tiny little sparkles. And they seem to be moving in all directions. And what I'll say is that spirit, I don't know if they're being cryptic or if the answer is just as simple as what they're saying. Spirit has told me that what I'm looking at is a form of energy. And I heard the word flow. And also I asked further today to see if they would give me any more. And they said love and magic, which sounds magical, but yeah, they seem to be some sort of type of energy, a flow of energy, and maybe it's the energy of love and the magic around us. But I know what you're talking about, and it seems to be something pretty simple, so hopefully that helps. All right, so the third question I got asked is I had a person that I helped on YouTube who was having a problem with a haunting in her house, and these spirits were wreaking havoc with her children. They were scaring them in certain ways. So she wondered how to handle it. So what I will say is that if you have a ghost that's lingering or spirits that are lingering that aren't leaving for whatever reason when you try to get them to leave or they come back, and you want to protect your children, but you also, when they're very young, you don't want to sit down and try to tell them all about the spirit world and ghosts, and you're going to freak them out because their imagination is going to get going wild, and they can only understand so much at that age. I mean, even though children are extraordinarily smart, you just don't want to bombard them with all these adult facts that we know about the spirit world. So you also don't want to tell them it's a figure of their imagination or just go back to bed. You don't want to do that either. You want to validate what they're hearing, seeing, and sensing while keeping it to a minimum. So what I recommend is that if your child is coming to you and saying that there's something in their room that's scaring them or they saw a ghost or something like that, what you want to do is you want to get a water bottle and fill it with water and then a few drops of lavender. Lavender is very calming, and lavender also carries a very, very high vibration to it, as do most flowers. And what I would explain to your children is that, sometimes you have spirits that get lost and they mean you no harm, but you do not need to allow them to be in your space. This is your space. This is our home, and we can tell them to leave. And what you do is you say, if you see something that scares you, you grab the water bottle and you spray it and you tell them you need to leave. And really, it's that simple. It works usually very well. So not only are you setting boundaries with spirit, like this is our house and you're not going to bother my kid just because they're an innocent kid, but you're also empowering your child without giving them way too much detail and information. You're saying this is your space. You do not have to be afraid of anything. And not only is the lavender calming to smell, it gives them a sense of empowerment. And I was happy to know that this person wrote back to me and said it actually worked and the whole house felt lighter. That doesn't surprise me because when you're staking claim to your space and you're saying you're not allowed to be here and you're not making me scared, you have to go. Eventually they're going to go, and it's going to, elevate the vibration of the whole house. So anyway, keep it simple with them, but yeah, give them that water bottle full of lavender and water, and teach them to be empowered with their space, while keeping it short and sweet with them, though. Okay. So, someone asked this just last night. How do you know it's not your imagination? And I think they said this under my clairaudient video, but this really could be for any of your abilities. So, there's long answers to that of practicing and honing your abilities and learning to trust and have confidence in your abilities. But really, the short, sweet answer to this is how to know if it's not your imagination. Well, imagination, you are actively taking the time to imagine. You are creating it with your mind on purpose. When clairaudience comes in, or clairvoyance, or what have you, it just comes in on its own. You didn't actually sit around making up, the Easter bunny in your head and going, okay, I'm going to imagine an Easter bunny and he's white and he's wearing a blue suit and he's carrying a basket. Well, you're taking the time to create that in your mind. Divine guidance, whether it's images or hearing things, it just comes in on its own. So it's sort of like a thought. If you're not actively creating a thought, but one just drops in, there's a good chance it's, divine guidance or your higher self. So keep that in mind. Imagination is something you imagine on purpose. You create it on purpose. If you are not doing that on purpose, that will let you know that you're in the right direction of recognizing your strengths and your abilities and getting images or guidance from the divine. Okay, this person, I think I answered something similar in another video, but someone said that sometimes they hear chimes sort of from nowhere, or classical music also coming from nowhere, faint like. So a lot of times, if there's no explanation of where chimes or classical music are coming from, and you're in a situation where someone couldn't possibly be playing music somewhere sort of like in the woods or what have you, there's a very, very good chance that you are just tapping into the angelic realms. The higher realms have a music that comes from them, and also chimes are usually a sign that angels are around. So enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing that you are tapping into something so wonderful. This person asked, what happens to suicide victims when they die? I'm going to answer this really simply because we could get into a whole big thing. The same thing that happens to you when you die. You are not punished because you committed suicide. What happens usually for everyone when you cross over is that you go to a place of reflection, basically, to think about the decisions you've made, and maybe what you did right, what you did wrong, what you should have done differently. And everyone has to sit in this reflection for different periods of time. And I say time because we humans have time. There isn't really time in the other realms, but for lack of a better word, time. You sit there and you do a lot of reflection, and it can be hard, from what I've been told. So my thought is, if you committed suicide, you're probably immediately going to regret it. And while you're being taken care of, you're being comforted from the divine, you probably are in this place of reflection, and you might be struggling with the decision you made, and you will slowly, or hopefully faster than not, work through that. And then when you're ready, your soul can move on to the next stage. But it's the same thing. It's like if someone, hurt people or hurt themselves, or all the other things that could be not good in life, they would do the same thing. They'd have to spend time in reflection and think about what they did, and then eventually make amends for it in different ways and balance that karma. So if someone commits suicide, eventually, if they decide to reincarnate or maybe become a spirit guide, they will try to balance the karma of what they did by helping others. And like I said, we could get into so much with that, but it's not, I know why the person was asking, because you hear that you go to purgatory or you're punished. It's not true, but it can be a form of you punishing yourself. When you're sitting in reflection and you're very upset with yourself, that would not feel very good, and you'll have to work through that. That's what I've been told from my team. You know, you're going to hear different things on that, but we all have to make amends for things. We have to balance karma, and we need to work through the decisions we made, whatever decisions those are, okay? Yeah. So let me see here. Someone had asked about twin flames, and I don't want to knock anybody trying to figure out about twin flames or educating yourself. Definitely educate yourself on it. Look stuff up online and read about it, and for some people it's very interesting, and that's great. Here's my problem when people ask about twin flames. I don't invest much in talking about it because what I have found is that a lot of people, when they're questioning twin flames, it's not that they're educating themselves on it, but they're questioning if they're with their twin flame. I say don't even worry about it. It doesn't matter. Just live your best life and question if the person you're with is the right person. And, helping you, or supporting you, not helping you, supporting you to be the best version of yourself. The reason I say that is because usually, when someone's asking that, they're in a shitty relationship, but they've made excuses for themselves, being like, well, they must be my twin flame, and this must be why we're so drawn to each other. And really what I think it does is, I think the twin flame thing does you a disservice, because you might make up excuses to stay in a bad relationship because somebody told you it's your twin flame, or you think it's your twin flame. I say screw that shit. You should be with someone that loves you for you, someone that you don't fight with all the time, someone that you're not trying to change, they're not trying to change you, on and on and on, all that good stuff. You shouldn't be with someone because you think they're your twin flame. And I was going to say, what's the chance it's your twin flame? I mean, just because you're in a relationship with someone does not mean they're your soulmate or your twin flame, and you might date 10 more people and they won't be. Just don't worry about that stuff. Live your best life and find someone that you really enjoy being with, and that, just helps bring out the best in you and support you fully. And when they don't, just dump their ass and move on, and don't even think too much about it. Don't fall for the soulmate twin flame thing and keep you in a place of being stuck and not progressing or putting up with bullshit. That's why I'm saying, just don't even worry about it. Don't wonder about it. And don't allow yourself to feel like you should be with that person because you read this twin flame thing. No, your spirit guides want the best for you. And I want you to think about that when you're in a bad relationship, or some guy's a jerk, or girl's a jerk, cheats on you or what have you, and you just keep coming back to the person. You have stuff to work through. You should never be going back to a person that's an asshole. I mean, and your spirit guides and angels want so much for you. They're probably just like, oh, what are you doing? We're trying to get you to go. We're trying to send you in the right direction. You just keep going back. So anyway, I'm rambling. Get away from any jerks that you're dating, and don't worry about that twin flame stuff. Okay. So the last question, someone asked, they wondered about doing things to strengthen their third eye, and they were feeling very frustrated because they had been doing things for a while and nothing was happening. So are there things you can do to strengthen your third eye? Yes. What I want to say though is that you have to let go of any expectations of what you think clairvoyance is going to look like or seem. And you also have to let go of comparing yourself to other people. A lot of times people think, well, I'm not seeing this, I'm not having this happen. They get so frustrated. Well, being frustrated is not going to allow your gifts to flourish, period. So if they're stuck and they're blocked, you're making them that way because you're frustrated, okay? My clairvoyance will be one way, and your clairvoyance might be similar but very different. So if you're saying, well, Ryan can see this, but I can't, well, right there, you've done yourself such an injustice, because if you're comparing, you're not allowing your gifts to rise to the surface the way they want to be. One of my best students I ever have had so far, I mean, just excellent. Everything was very easy for her. She got answers in detail. It was really good. Hell, she probably didn't even need my help. She had little to no clairvoyance, and she could get anything you asked her because she was using the other 3 abilities she had to receive information. So does that mean you don't have clairvoyance if you're struggling? No, not at all. But if you're focusing on one of your abilities and you're putting pressure on it and expectations and comparing and not tapping into your other abilities, you're blocking yourself, okay? The other thing I want to say is that you should maybe find a teacher or a mentor to help you at least with one session to work through this, because you might be seeing clairvoyant images, but you don't know that's what you're seeing because your expectations are that you're going to see stuff in front of your face very clearly, or it's going to look like how you saw in a movie or what you read about online. And it might be very, very different for you, and someone can help walk you through it, and you might go, holy shit, I have been seeing things and I didn't know it because I was expecting this. So I want to say that first. Let go of comparing, let go of expectations. If you're really struggling, just bite the bullet, pay some money and get some help, okay? And you don't have to pay $1 million, all right? You can invest a few $100s and have a teacher help you and get over that frustration, okay? Or they can even see where you are blocked and what you need to do, because if you're focusing all on your third eye, but you have blockages in your other channels, like your heart chakra, well, your clairvoyance, you can focus on this all day, but your clairvoyance isn't going to come through if you have these other blockages in your system. So there's more to it than sitting around with your eyes closed and sort of focusing on your third eye and, these little things you can do. It's not to say they don't help, okay? But there's just a lot more to it. And that's what can cause the frustration. So then the second part of this, how can you strengthen your clairvoyance? I found the best ways, again, let go of any expectations, sit down, start spending time meditating 5, 10, 15 minutes, and just allow. So don't focus on your third eye and, just sit there and allow, okay? And then also that helps remove blockages, but when you're not expecting anything, that's when images can start coming to you. The other thing is being creative and being very visual will help your clairvoyance. And also, imagining things in your mind. So like if I say imagine an apple and you picture an apple in your mind, imagine a tree, on and on and on. By imagining those things, that is activating your clairvoyance, because your clairvoyance taps into the same muscle as your imagination. That is where a lot of the clairvoyant images are. They're in your mind, okay? It's not like something very clear in front of you. Now, it can be. Sometimes you can start to see stuff like, I see stuff walking around a little bit and it sort of looks transparent and what have you, or like lights. But that sort of presented itself on its own. And sometimes I don't see anything. I just have to allow whatever to happen. So that's what I would say. Just start allowing, and also tap into your other abilities, because you're trying to be really clairvoyant. Well, you might be really claircognizant or really clairsentient, and you're missing it because you're trying to grab something someone else has or you think is supposed to be a certain way, and you're missing your abilities. So take the pressure off yourself, okay? And think about getting some help. It doesn't take much to get your abilities going in the right direction, but that's where a professional can definitely help you. I tried to do everything for a long time on my own, and it wasn't until I sought help that it made all the difference in the world. And that doesn't have to be paying a mentor. There's a lot of great stuff online, and there's mentors that offer online things that can help you. And it's a little bit of investment on your part, But so what? Any education costs a little bit of money, and you're investing it in yourself and making yourself a hell of a lot less frustrated. Much love to you, babes.